Perfect. A very good morning to everyone. Thank you for all joining us today. Today we are going to be going through our Are You Ready for Christmas Masterclass. Now, of course, some of you may be thinking, Chris, is that a little bit early? We are still in October. We haven't even had Halloween yet. But of course, as we know, Christmas seems to get earlier and earlier every year. So we thought the best thing to do, we're going to do this masterclass today. We're also going to run another one in a couple of weeks' time as well. But this is just a few things just to really help us on the lead up to Christmas. Now, this morning I'm going to run through as much as I humanly can. I've got sort of roughly 5 or 6 different topics to run through with you. But as always, my masterclasses are recorded. You can request that through myself, or if you just pop along to our YouTube channel and just search for the masterclasses on there, you'll be able to see that. Okay, so before we begin, if you've never been on one of my masterclasses before, we always have a little bit of housekeeping just to get the ball rolling. So the duration of this class, it's going to be approximately 60 minutes. It may be a little bit more, it may be a little bit less, but as I say, I do always try and keep it within that 60 minutes in case you are joining me between a customer or before you start work, or if you're on your lunch break or anything like that. My microphone has been switched on, whereas everyone else has automatically been muted. And your speakers must be turned on to hear this webinar. So hopefully now everyone can hear me nice and loud. If you can't, do please drop me a little message, but make sure you've got your speakers, your headset, everything like that turned up nice and loud. Questions will be taken during or at the end of the masterclass, but as always, please feel free to make it interactive. If you do want to unmute yourself, have a little chat with me, that's perfectly fine. If not, just pop those messages in the chat box and we'll get to those as soon as possible. Now, as always, we do always have a bit of a PowerPoint presentation, but I've decided I want to get as much in as possible. After all, it is Christmas, so I want to get as much in as humanly possible. So we're going to jump straight into a live demonstration for this morning. So before we do, what will today's outcome be? What will we be looking to learn? So we're going to be looking to configure your stock and ensure your stock levels are completely accurate and nice and correct. We're also going to be looking at how to bundle products to create those tailor-made gift sets. Fantastic if you're not using sort of pre-packaged one or pre-made ones, if you simply want to create your own. Just your business hours and schedules to cater for the holiday rush, the benefits and e-gift cards and why they're a must, setting up upfront payments to help eliminate no-shows. And we're also going to be looking at something brand new, our pre-arrival email forms. Now, I'm going to throw a few other things in there as well this morning, ladies and gents. Like I said, I'm going to cram as much in as humanly possible. So to get the ball rolling, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our Shortcuts Fusion system. Okay, so we're going to get started this morning, ladies and gents, something nice and simple. We're going to look at adjusting our schedules. Now, as we know, we're probably going to be working that a little bit earlier and finishing that a little bit later. We need to ensure our schedules are completely up to date. Why do we need to ensure our schedules are up to date? Well, if you're utilizing the mobile guest app or any of our online booking platforms, we need to ensure that those customers are able to book online. So to get started, on the right-hand side of our navigation bar, we're going to click onto Setup, and we're going to click onto Configuration. Now, in the bottom left-hand corner, what we're going to do is we're going to click onto General. And we're just going to use the arrow just facing downwards, and we're going to click onto that, and we're going to choose the option here that says Schedule. Now, some of you might be looking at this and thinking, well, Chris, when I often do my schedules and my rotas and my rosters, I don't go through this option here. So why are we looking at this option? Well, this here, ladies and gents, is our schedule reasons. So all of the reasons we may or may not be in the salon or the business. So you can see we've got college, we've got day off, we've got holiday, and we've got some other custom ones there as well. So you might be thinking on the lead up to Christmas, I want to potentially schedule off a bank holiday. So what we can do, nice and simple, is in the top right hand corner, we're going to click onto that new icon. and we're going to type in the reason in the blank space just here. And I'm going to call it bank holiday. You can call it Christmas, New Year's, whatever you prefer. To the right of this, you will also see there is a color option available for us to choose. If we click onto this, this will be visible in our schedule. This is a bank holiday. I'm going to choose, what have we got? I've used a lot of colors, so that's not a problem. I can choose more colors just here and get really creative. Let's do, I tell you what, let's do, I don't know, let's do a nice light pink there. And then we just click OK. So you can see I can choose that color there. Now to the right, we've got our active text box. Obviously, we want this to be active. Now, if you are utilizing the commission and wages report and schedule or structure through your Shortcuts Fusion system, if this is going to be payable, that means it will appear with the wage. Do ensure you tick this box here. Now, please note, when you do make any changes, it will automatically pop it into alphabetical orders. So just do keep an eye on that just there. If you want to allow bookings, this is more so for online bookings, so do take that into account as well. Naturally, you can make manual bookings over the top of it, but this here, if this is ticked, will allow online bookings, and walk-ins will allow walk-ins through the walk-in manager as well. So all we're going to do is we're going to click Done, and it may just require us to give a quick restart to our shortcut system. So we're now going to take a look at doing a schedule. Now, some of you may be looking at getting your January schedules popped in, or your 2025 schedules. You might want to be getting those popped in now, or you might just want to simply make a change for November or December. So nice and simple. Again, on that navigation bar, we're going to click onto the tools icon just here. And we're going to go down to schedule. It can be found the fourth icon down. Depending on your region, it may be a roster. But we're going to choose that schedule or roster option just here. Now, as you look at this, you may have quite a lot of staff members, and you might think, oh, it's too much to look at. Is there any way I can sort of condense it down? Well, what I'm going to do at the top here, I'm just going to simply search for one of my employees. So you can see I'm going to search for Gareth like that. Or if you didn't want to, you could just simply click and drag to the right or the left-hand side. You may find it easy, depending on which way you prefer to work, you may find it easier to just simply type the name in at the top. Okay, so let's pop my name from now. Now, today's date will always be highlighted with the green square around the outside here, so it's easily identifiable. And it will always have roughly 2 weeks in the past and roughly 2 weeks in the future. So it sort of sits exactly smack bang in the middle here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop a schedule in. Now, if you just want to do ad hoc days, that's perfectly fine. You can just do those on a one sort of ad hoc basis. But you might be thinking throughout, the rest of the year or 2025, I want to pop that schedule in and I essentially want to copy and paste it. How do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're essentially going to put like a template in. We're going to put that draft template in. Now, if you do a weekly schedule, make sure you pop that week in first. If you do a 2-weekly schedule, so perhaps you do one Saturday on and one Saturday off, make sure you pop that 2-weekly schedule in. If you're closed Sunday and Monday, or if you're closed a particular day, that will be highlighted by a certain color, just like this here. And essentially, you would not need to put that schedule in because the business is closed. So let's go ahead and pop our schedule in. And I'm going to do a weekly rota to make it nice and simple. So Sunday, we can click onto Sunday here, and we can see we've got my schedule reasons in the top right. And we're just going to pop the schedule in here using our arrow keys. I'm then going to do Monday, and exactly the same, it's a day off. Tuesday, I'm going to say I do 9 till 4, and again, it's a normal working day. Wednesday, 9 till 6, normal working day, and we would just work through. Now, you will also notice as I click that drop down arrow in the top right, you will see that new schedule reason that we added in as well. So all you would simply do is just work through and get that weekly schedule in. As I said, if you do a 2-weekly schedule, you have one Saturday on, one Saturday off. Make sure you go ahead and change for the second week here. So let's say for Saturday the 9th, I have that as a day off. So I've got one on and one off. So I would just change that to a day off, just like that there. Now, once you've got your weekly schedule in, or your 2-weekly or 3-weekly or 4-weekly, whatever it may be, we can essentially copy and paste this schedule. So how do we do that? Well, first thing to remember is if you're going to schedule it for the whole of 2025, it might be worth just very quickly clicking and dragging down and just making sure there's not any ad hoc holidays or anything like that that you may be about to sort of erase over the top of or copy and paste over the top of. So if you have already put some holiday in for next year, just keep an eye on that there. But if not, let's go back to today and let's copy and paste our 2-week rota. Okay, so you can see there's my 2-week rota here, starting from Sunday the 27th all the way down to this here. So in the top left-hand corner, what we're going to do is we're going to click onto Mark Cells, and we're going to start in our column at the Sunday. Okay, so we're going to start at the Sunday just here. We always start with the Sunday, whether we're open, close, working, shut, whatever it may be, we start at the Sunday. So we click onto that there, and then we go down to the following Saturday. If it is a weekly rota, you would go down to the following Saturday here. If it is a 2-week rota, you would go down to the second Saturday here. We would then click onto it, and you'll notice it has highlighted that 2-week rota. Now remember, we only do the 2 weeks if you work a 2-week rota. If it's just a 1-week rota, you would just go down to the 1 week here. We've now got a selection that has been marked. It has been highlighted. So what we now do is in the marked section, we just use the right-hand side of our mouse. We're going to right-click and we're going to choose Schedule Until. And this essentially now allows us to schedule this marked rota of 2 weeks as far into the future as we like. So I'm going to do November 2025. You can see my selections at the top here. And I'm just going to mark it until Sunday the 30th of November. Now, if you haven't marked a full 14 days, so I asked for it to be stopped on the 30th of November, which isn't a full 14-day rota. You can see it wants to schedule it until the 6th. That just extends it a full 14 days. So it would just say, would you like to extend your selection to the 6th of December, which is essentially saying the 30th was only going to be something like 11 days, but as we're copy and pasting 14 days, it will just extend it until the 6th to give you a full 2-week rota next year. We just click yes, and it will just tell me, yep, we've already got rosters entries. We're just going to override those now. Do you wish to continue with rostering your selection to the 30th of November? And we just do yes. And then in the top left, nice importantly, we're just going to unmark the cells. That just stops us copying and pasting. If we now click and drag down, you can see we've got that 2-week rota just here. And then we just click done. And that is how we can schedule our rota. Now, also just very quickly this morning, ladies and gents, let's have a look at changing our business hours. Now, the business hours form the basis of your online booking hours. So if you do want to really cement and advertise that you're maybe going to be open a Sunday throughout Christmas or a Monday throughout Christmas, you would just change your business hours. Please remember though, ladies and gents, to change them back after Christmas. If you just want to open a Sunday on your schedule, like we just did, you do not have to change your sort of definitive business hours. But of course, if you leave your business hours closed for things like your online booking, you may not get people even attempting to make an appointment online because they may see it's advertised as closed. But if you do want to definitively open your business hours, think of it as like the sign on the shop window. We can do so under Setup, Configuration, And then bottom left-hand corner, we can go to General and then Business just here. And you can simply adjust your opening hours just here. Now, as I said, the opening hours here, they will pull through to things like your online booking and your mobile guest app. So that will really advertise your sort of opening hours there. Like I said, you don't have to change the opening hours here. If you just want to adjust your schedule, you can do that. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so the next thing we're going to move to is stock. Now, some of you may be looking at doing automated orders on the lead up to Christmas, or some of you may just want to ensure at the end of the year your stock levels are completely accurate. And I would always recommend doing this as often as possible, but never more so important than on the lead up to Christmas. Because, of course, we're going to get people coming through the door getting those last minute purchases. Okay, so on the right hand side of that navigation bar, we're going to click onto stock and we're going to go down to products just here. Now you can see you've got your companies to the left hand side, such as Jessica, LMS and Lash Perfect. We can expand our companies by clicking the plus sign to the left hand side of the company. And underneath that, you will see your lines. Your lines of products, a way to categorize specific products all under the same sort of category. So you can see we've got bleaches, chromative, Vulture, Lnet, and so forth. We can expand our line by clicking the plus sign again to the left-hand side, and that will reveal the specific products. Now, if you want to just very nice and quickly and simply, what we can do is you'll notice we've got our current column just here. If you want to just very quickly and simply to just double click into that column and type the number in, that's perfectly fine to do so. There's no issue with that whatsoever. But I would always recommend doing a dedicated stock take through the system. And there's a couple of reasons why I would recommend doing that. It saves you writing your products down on a piece of paper and then having to write the counts alongside those. Doing it through the system will simply print all of the products out for you, so you don't have to write all the products down. And of course, when you come to input the stock, they're in exactly the same order as they are on the sheet of paper. So how do we do a stock take through the system? Again, on the right-hand side, we can click onto stock and we can go down to our stock take option just here. In the top right-hand corner, we're going to click onto the new icon and we can simply type out our description here. So this could be something like American Crew. It really doesn't matter essentially, but it's just a good way to be able to identify the products that we wish to count. So I've put American Crew in there. In the bottom right, we simply click the next icon just here. We can now go ahead in the top right-hand corner and add those products in. If you wish to add all of your American Crew products, you'll notice we've got a multi-select tab icon just here. This will add in every single line and essentially every single product. So it may be quite a few products, but we can simply click onto that icon just there. Now you might be thinking, I don't want to do every American Crew line and every American Crew product. I just want to do one specific line. And again, once we've expanded those lines, we can click onto the multi-select tab here, and that will just do every product under this line here. Or I could unselect and click my multi-select tab here, and again, just do every product under this line here. Now, last but not least, you might be thinking, okay, I don't want to do every product under that line. I just want to do a few select products. Is there a way I can just do maybe 5 or 6 products? Yep. All we need to do is just expand the relevant line to reveal the specific products. And again, we can use those multi-select tabs, so 6 dots to the left-hand side. We can just click each multi-select tab as I go through, and that will allow me to be really specific with the products that I'm selecting. When I'm happy with my selection, I click the Add icon in the top right-hand corner of my window. And that will add those selected products there. Click Done to finalize your choice. We are now ready to start our stock take, and you can see we've got the Start icon towards the bottom right-hand corner. We simply click on to Start. And it will say, are you sure you want to activate this stock take? So we're going to click on to Yes. Now at this point, ladies and gents, it's going to prompt us to print 3 forms. So what are those 3 forms? Well, the top one, of course, is our stock take form. That's the bare minimum that we're sort of required because we're going to need to write all of our products down. That's what our stock take form is. Now, underneath, we have our unlist items form. So what's the unlist items form? Well, the unlist items form is basically a spreadsheet of all products not listed. So perhaps you're doing the entire American Crew range, and when you're physically counting all of those products, you happen to notice products physically in your business, but are not listed on your stock take form. So it means we just need to go back and add those in. Now, essentially, I don't think we need an entire separate sheet of paper for this, because we could just write it potentially on the back if we needed to. And of course, our third form here is our stock maintenance form. Now, again, when we're doing that physical stock take, if we happen to notice any products that perhaps require maintenance, maybe they're damaged, maybe they're broken, maybe they're leaking. But again, hopefully you won't have any products damaged or leaking or anything like that. So it doesn't require its own form there. Now you do also have this option towards the bottom left that says print shortcuts current levels. Now that will print what the system, what shortcuts things you already have in stock. And it's a bit of a safety net. It's a bit of an indicator. So what does that mean? So it will print what the system thinks we have already in stock. So perhaps you're counting a product and you only count or you only find one of them. But the system says, you know what, we should have 10 in stock. And you think, okay, I need to check the basement, or I need to check the warehouse, or I need to check wherever it may be. And I need to continue looking for those products. But of course, I would only recommend ticking this box if you feel your stock levels are somewhat accurate. If you haven't done a stock take for 10 years, your stock levels are probably going to be a bit skewed, and you don't want to give yourself a bit of a headache over it, because you might look at it and think, well, I've checked everywhere. I can only find one product, but the system's telling me I've got 10. Have I lost 9 of 9 being stolen? No, it just means we haven't done a stock take for ages, and our computer levels, our stock levels are completely out of whack. For this masterclass, I'm not going to print anything out. But if we did, it would just print that stock take form. What that would then do is it would print out a sheet of paper with all of these products here in this exact order here. So the beauty of this, of course, ladies and gents, is we haven't had to write any products out. So from there, we would simply take our physical sheet of paper, we would go to our product stands, and we would just write all of those products down on that sheet of paper. Then, of course, we need to input them onto our system. By this time, the computer will have changed, the system will have changed. So all we do is we just come back to our stock take. You can find our outstanding one just here. There's our American Crew. We click on to next. And the beauty again of doing it this way, ladies and gents, not only have we not had to write any products down, just simply the counts, the products on our sheet of paper are in the exact same order as our screen. So perhaps if you've got like 150 products, you can get someone to assist you, and they can simply shout out the products that were on the sheet of paper, and you will find they're in exactly the same order here. So you can just get someone to shout those products out and go, you've got 1, you've got 0, you've got 1, you've got 1, you've got 1, 2, 1, or 0, and everything like that. Now you will notice as I've done that, we've got an adjustment value just here. So it said we were -1. If you allow your system to go into negatives, you can see we've gained 1 product, and it's essentially found as £5.40. We found 2 products, and that's essentially found as £80. Now, all you need to do to finalize this when you're happy is simply click Stock Take just down here, the one with the tick in it. Take the stock with Stock Take. And are you sure you want to complete this stock take? Committing this stock take will update your shortcuts current levels. And of course, that's exactly what we want to happen. And it says there are product counts that are different to the recorded values. Or that have been sold during your stock take. It is recommended that you recount these. Would you like to perform a recount? Choosing no will update your current levels. So if you're happy that you've counted everything correctly and you're 100% sure that that is the correct level, simply click no, and that will update your current levels. Congratulations, you successfully completed a stock take. Product levels will be updated. And then we can click done. So you can now use that information to generate an automated order. Now, I won't have time today to run through automated orderings, but if it is something you are looking to do, please do drop me a message at the end. I've got dedicated videos, or I'm happy to go through a one-to-one review to show you how to do an automated order based on our current stock levels. Now, of course, on the lead up to Christmas, ladies and gents, you might be thinking, I want to create my own gift boxes. I want to create my own hampers. I want to get creative. Want to do, the two shampoo. I want to do the shampoo, the conditioner, and the styling products. Maybe you'll do two shampoos. Who knows? But I want to create my own gift sets and my own box sets. How can I do that? Well, of course, the reason we would do it through Shortcuts is for this. If you put a shampoo and a conditioner and a styling product in like a hamper, when you sell that product at the point of sale, you would essentially need to manually remove the shampoo, remove the conditioner, remove that styling product. Otherwise, your stock levels are going to completely be thrown out. But of course, that could be quite difficult because if it's all beautifully cellophane wrapped up, how are you going to get to the barcode? Or, you need to ensure that you then choose the correct product to manually adjust your stock levels. Wouldn't it be much easier on your Shortcuts Fusion system to just simply bundle these products together? Then when you check the product out, you've got a seamless checkout experience. Those product levels will be updated automatically. So how do we do this? Well, the first thing we would need to do is we would need to create the hamper as a standard product. So for example, we would go to stock, we would go to products, and I've created a Christmas hamper sort of category. You can do that simply by clicking on business and clicking new. And that will give you that brand new category down there. Or if not, if you're just going to bundle Redken products, for example, you may wish to do it under Redken. Once you've got your company, such as Chris's Hampers 2024, we would want to add in our line of products. We add in our line of products by simply clicking onto it and clicking new. When we do that, it will give us our line of products. Again, a way to categorize them. So you can see I've created a line of products called Christmas Hampers. Now I've got my line of products. I want to add my brand new products to that line. So we simply click new and we can add in that brand new product. And I'm just going to call it my bronze hamper. You can see I've already created a gold and I've already created a silver. From here, you can put your buy prices in. Perhaps that's the price of the 3 or 4 products you're buying. So, and you can put that sell price in there as well. If you wish to create your own barcodes, you can do so and then get those printed out. And you'll notice we've got our current level as 0. So what we're going to do, we're going to bundle the individual products into that bronze or that gold or silver hamper. So how do we do that? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to bundle on the right hand side. And at the top, the first option is select the products to be bundled. Now, these are the individual products that are going to be bundled into that hamper. So this will be things like the shampoos, the conditioners, the styling products. So what we do is we click the add icon just here, and we're going to go ahead and choose those individual products. I'm just going to use my multi-select tabs just like this here, and just multi-select my 3 products. And we're just going to add them in here. And then we just click them. Now underneath, we need to select the product to bundle into. So that now means we're going to bundle these 3 products here we're going to bundle them into our bronze, our gold, or our silver hamper. So again, we're going to click the plus sign just here. We're going to scroll down to find my hampers, expand the company, expand the line, and choose the specific product here. So you can see we're going to choose the bronze hamper. Click add, and then right down the bottom, we're going to click bundle just here. The products have now been removed. And when we click done and click done again, we give it a few seconds just to update. But if we go to our products and we go to our hampers, you can now see our bronze hamper has a quantity of 1. And the individual products, those individual shampoos, conditioners, and styling products, those product levels will have been adjusted from here as well, because it knows those products are now in the hamper. And of course, when we go ahead and sell that bronze hamper at the point of sale screen, it will adjust the stock level here automatically. I've just got one question come through. Bear with me just 1 second. What happened if stock of one item is 0? Well, it will essentially, it's a very good question. It's a very, very good question. It will allow it to go into the hamper if your system is set up to allow negative stock quantities. Most systems aren't allowed to go into negative stock quantities. I do have, funnily enough, I do have mine set up. If you want me to check at the end, please just let me know. But yes, it will allow it to go into that hamper, which poses a very, very good point. Which is why just before this, it's always worth doing a stock take to ensure your stock levels are correct. Naturally, I would probably say, do physically check to make sure you've got all of those products first before you go ahead and make them on the system. But yes, on the system, it will allow it to go from 0 to a -1, or if you've just got 1, it will put the quantity as 0 because it will be in the hamper. It does calculate it all sort of automatically. It moves it from the individual product into the hamper because the individual product is now in the hamper. Therefore, you don't have any other individual products to sell. So if you've only got the 1 shampoo and you move it into the hamper, the quantity of 1 for the individual product will go to 0, and it will be associated with the hamper. That then stops it being sold like as if it was an individual product. If you had a 0, if your system is set up to go to -1, it will go through. Would the hamper go to 0 if you sell individually? No, it wouldn't. The individual would go to -1. So if you had 1 product that went into your hamper, that would change it to 0. If you had your system allowed to go to minus quantities, if you did try and sell one individually, it would just go to -1. But I presume in real life that would never really happen because you can't sort of sell something that isn't there, if you know what I mean. But some people do have a system allowed to go to negative quantities, but unless we've set it up, it shouldn't allow it to do it. But yeah, if you've got 0 in stock, an individual product, if you try and sell that individual shampoo, in real life, it wouldn't happen because you technically wouldn't have it. But if for whatever reason you tried running it through at the point of sale system, if you had your system set up to allow negative quantities, it will just pop it into a negative quantity. But as long as you put it into the hamper, it will calculate accordingly. It's basically saying, I'm moving it from this shelf over here. That drops it down to 0, and it's over here in the hamper with a quantity of 1, because that's where it's now found. That's why it's always worth doing it this way, because it just calculates your stock automatically. But it's a very, very good question. If you want me to run through it with you one-to-one or anything like just to check, that's perfectly fine. Drop me a message at the end. No issues with that whatsoever. But a great question there. Thank you ever so much for that. Brilliant, brilliant question. Hopefully that answered the question. Sorry, before I move on, hopefully that answered the question. But if you want to chat further at the end, please do let me know. So something else we're also going to look at is account payments. Now, this is a bit more of a manual way of doing it. So you might be thinking, well, if somebody rings up and wants to pay for an appointment in the future, or wants to maybe put like a deposit on their son or their daughter's account. How can we do that? Yep, so what we would do is we would go to main and we would go to point of sale. Now for this, always, ladies and gents, in the top left-hand corner, please make sure we use a new sale, because if we are putting money on a client's account, we cannot do it for a walk-in client. Obviously, they can walk in, but we need to put it under their profile. So we're going to click onto new sale, and we're going to search for that customer. You can see I'm going to pop it on Amy Engineer's profile just here. I'm just going to click next. We're going to choose any one of our we're going to choose any one of our empty grey sale lines. Choose a business because the money is going to business first and foremost, and then we're going to put money on this particular client's account. In the price column, simply type in how much money we want to pop on the account. And then from here, we would just take the payment as normal. So how are they going to pay for this? So we would just choose cash or card. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click Finish Sale in the bottom right. Now, when we search for this customer, you can see at the top of their profile, they are £50 in credit. So they've essentially got a manual deposit. So this can now be redeemed off a service. So let's pretend we've got an appointment booked in. You can see at the top here, we've got £50 on Amy's account. Let's pretend she's just booked in for a service, but it can be redeemed off products as well if necessary. We can see that just there. So we want to redeem this £50 off of the account here. So it's a form of payment now. We wish to redeem this money here. So they're not going to pay by cash or card. What they're going to do is redeem the money off the other payment type here in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, as soon as we click onto that, we can choose account, type in however much money they wish to redeem, so we can see the £15 just here, and then we just click done, and we finish the sale as normal. Now, please don't worry, you might look at this and think, oh, it still says 50, it should be, 35. We give it a few seconds, but when we go back to that client, after a few seconds, we can now see is adjusted accordingly. And that is a fantastic way to do like a manual deposit or anything like that. But you might be thinking, okay, what about then my customers that book online or book through the mobile guest app? They're not going to be able to ring us up. Is there a way that we can take a deposit automatically? And that, ladies and gents, is what we call our upfront payments. So to do this, what we just need to do is navigate to our online console. Okay. So once in our online console, if you've never used the online console before, it's just a simple web page, and it's just console.shortcutssoftware.com. So what do we require for our upfront payments? Now we need a payment provider. This can come in the way of Stripe, or we do have another payment provider that we use as well. But we typically use Stripe to do so. So once you've got a Stripe account set up, or if you haven't got a Stripe account set up, you can do so by clicking onto online booking settings, the center tile just here. And then over on the right-hand side, you would click onto upfront payment settings. Now, if you're doing this right now, ladies and gents, and you happen to notice there is no upfront payment settings on the right-hand side, it's not a problem. We just need to configure it in the back end for you. So please let me know at the end if this is something you are wishing to go ahead and do. And for those of you watching, we have actually wiped the setup fee. So if it's something you want to take advantage of, please do let me know at the end. But you would just need to click onto upfront payment settings on the right-hand side. Now from here in the top right-hand corner, you would have where it says Edit General Settings, or you may have a Connect to Stripe option, and that will allow you to just go ahead and set up a Stripe account. But please remember, Stripe is a third-party provider, but you'll have in the top right a Connect to Stripe. Now from here, please ensure you edit your T's and C's here. And we can go ahead and set up a general rule. So what we're going to do is we're going to click add a new rule to the right hand side. This is essentially how your upfront payment will work. So if we call it Chris 50%, just going to pop a tick in the box here. And then we've got our days in advance. This will be activated when X amount of days in advance. So essentially, if you do 1 day here, that will mean if I'm trying to make an appointment for Wednesday afternoon, the upfront payment, the 50%, will be activated. We will have to pay. You can see we've got our booking deposit here of 50%, but we've also got a minimum booking deposit. So what does that mean? Your minimum booking deposit is a monetary value. So it may be, let's say you've got a 50% deposit, but 50% of a £10 service is of course going to be £5. And you might think, well, £5 isn't really going to help me out with much in the cost of living crisis. So you might be thinking, I want to add in a minimum booking deposit. That is the minimum amount of money we would take from that customer. So that would then override that 50%. So essentially, that would then be, rather than being the £5, it would be the full amount in this case. It will never take more. So perhaps it was going to be 50% of £10, but we think £5 isn't very much. 50% of 10 gives us 5, but I've got my minimum booking deposit. Now my minimum booking deposit is 15, which is more than the entire bill. It will not take more. It will just simply take 100%. So it will take the £10 rather than the £15. It will not take more than what the actual service value is. Now, of course, underneath, some of you may be thinking, well, I don't want to alienate my existing long-term customers because they always book online. You know, I don't want them paying a 50% deposit. I don't want that awkward conversation. I don't want to alienate. Not a problem whatsoever. We can simply tick the box here for new customers only. And that will just be any new client IDs created when booking online. And then we just simply click OK. And then as we go down, you can see we've got the details just here. The booking is for employees. So this is essentially going to be for any employee, but you can select employees here. And for any service, by default, it will be any service. But of course, you can select your services just here. And that is how we can set up our upfront payments. And what that will simply mean is when that client gets to the very final stages of making their appointment, they will simply have to add in their card details. Now, just very quickly, because then we've only got sort of 10, 15 minutes left, you might be thinking, well, how do I know that I want to implement these account payments, these manual deposits, or how do I know I want to add in an upfront payment? Most of the time as business owners, we have a pretty good idea if we're seeing those red no-shows and those red cancellations in the diary. But what about a dedicated report to show us? Well, what we can do is we can have a look at our Shortcuts Fusion, and we can go to Tools, and we can go to Reports. In the top left, we can click onto Appointments, and we can go down to this option here, No-Show Statistics. This will show us all of our no-shows. It will really get us to grips with how many no-shows we had. So what we're going to do is we're going to click onto View down the center bottom, and you can change the date range here if you wish to. I'm just going to do the current month because we're drawing towards the end of October. So we can see we've got the current month just here. And then we're just going to click View. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in just ever so slightly in the top left. Okay, so what have we got at the top here? So we have got percentage of contacted clients who did not show. That's if they were contacted via their text message reminders. Percentage of non-contacted clients who did not show. So our customers that were not sent a text message reminder, that really shows us 100% of my customers in October, they weren't contacted, they were not sent a text message reminder, and they did not show. That tells me that I need those SMS reminders being sent out. Bookings marked as a no-show, I've got 4 of them. That's, when we right click or go through the touch tip and mark them as a no-show. And we've also got total no-shows, including non-arrivals. So what does that mean? So very quickly, if we go back a few days and weeks, I bet you, there we go. There's a few appointments there that were not arrived. So if we don't right click and arrive them, that is also classed technically as a no-show because we didn't arrive them. Now, of course, please don't worry. Some of you will probably be aware when you right click and check out a customer, they automatically go to arrived anyway. So you don't need to worry about that there. But it's like sometimes we forget to mark them as a no-show. They are still classed as a no-show. If we forget to mark them as a no-show, it just doesn't put a marker on their profile. So please do bear that in mind. Most importantly, the value of no-show. So it's cost us in April £344.02. Straight away, we'll be looking at that thinking, right, let's get that deposit in, even if it's just a 20%, even if it's just a minimum value of £15. We need to start recouping that money there. Total bookings and no-shows, a percentage of total bookings. So 14 bookings in October, everybody no-showed. That's not great. And no-shows, percentage of total value. So out of all of the value of appointments that were booked in, 100% of them were no-shows. So that cost me pretty much everything just there. Now, also as well, if you do scroll down, you can also see your client statistics for this particular date range. You can see the number of bookings that they've had, the times contacted, replies, cancellations, bookings marked as a no-show, total no-shows they've had, and no-shows percentage of total bookings. So again, you may look at this and think, okay, they visited us 100 times, they've only no-showed twice. Okay, not a problem. But these here, no-shows percentage of total bookings, they've no-showed for every single appointment. Let's be taking a look at those account payments that we spoke about earlier, adding the money onto that customer's account. So just as we draw to a close, electronic gift cards, fantastic, last minute presents, anything like that. Again, all you need is that Stripe account for the e-commerce to just take the money that way. So it's very easy to set up. So again, all you need to do is go to your online console. So when in the online console, all you need to do is click onto programs just down here in the bottom right-hand corner. And from there, just click administration in the top left and then program. And you should see your community automatically. And underneath, there should be a program for gift cards. If there is not a problem, please let me know. I will run through this with you. Gift cards, if you are watching this thinking, I would love to get e-gift cards or physical gift cards set up, please do let me know at the end. I think it's always best to just run through it one-to-one with you, because that can make sure we've got your program set up, we've got the payment type set up, and we can just really make sure everything is set up. If you're already utilizing physical gift cards through Shortcuts and you now just want to simply move over to e-gift cards, all you need to do is scroll all the way down here on your gift card program, because you'll already have this set up. Just scroll all the way down and click edit. Give it a few seconds to load, and you can just skip straight to digital gift card setup. Now remember, only need to do this if you're already utilizing physical gift cards. If you want to just use electronic gift cards with us and don't want to use physical gift cards, we will just need to create the program for you, and we'll run through it with you, and then you can jump straight to this aspect just here. Now we've got the website sales liability. So this allows you to choose whether liability will be held. We would recommend only these two here. Multi-site filter, that allows the purchaser to filter and choose which location they want to purchase the gift card from. A specific site, that will allow you to choose a specific site. So if you just want it to be held just at one, you can just choose the specific site just there. That's typical for solo operators. Underneath, we've also got a widget app and label text. Now, widget is a little button that appears typically on the left or the right-hand side. And that's what the text will be: buy a gift card. Now, we also got a percentage increase offer. Now, this is more for your electronic gift cards, your online gift cards. This is more if you want to give potentially essentially a little bit of discount, shall we say. So you can then offer a percentage value increase. So applicable to sales over, please ignore the dollar sign, that will be pounds sterling. So it will only be applicable to transactions over £40 and will value increase by 25%. So what does that mean? If they purchase a £40 gift card, they get a 25% value increase, and that will therefore mean they have a £50 discount. Through your electronic gift cards, there isn't really a way to do a discount. You could probably do something with a physical gift card, but it wouldn't be able to do a discount through your electronic gift cards. The best way would be to just simply do a value increase. You can then choose your widget placement. So where do you want the little button to sit? Do you want it to sit on the left, the right, the top, or the bottom? Then make sure you got your terms and conditions. Please make sure you get advice, anything you need to just make sure that's correct. And then we've also got the website widget code to pop the widget on your website. Now the top one here, widget code, will be if you want a widget to be created for you, and that will be based on the options configured here, so the left or the right. The widget launcher code is if you already have a preset button created on your website. Maybe your web designer has already created a buy a gift card button at the top or a gift card button. This is the code you will need for that here. So once you've clicked save in the bottom right, give it a few seconds, those codes and those scripts will become available to you. All you need to do is simply click copy or copy just here, whichever one you require. Now, like I said, when it comes to gift cards, I would always recommend one of us just running through it with you, just to ensure you feel confident with it all being set up, and you can see how to redeem it as well. Now, last but not least, okay, something absolutely fantastic on the lead up to Christmas, perfect for our colorists, our stylists, our therapists. Pre-arrival email forms, a fantastic way to ensure your customers are filling out these skin test forms, these disclaimers, anything like that prior to the service. Now, some of you may be utilizing this already physically in the salon using your iPads and your tablets and getting the customer to sign and fill those disclaimer forms out, those patch tests, those consultation forms out with you. But how fantastic would it be if we can email it prior to the appointment? So to do so, the first thing we would need to do is just ensure your forms are created. If you're using custom forms, you can use those, or you can use the standard client information form. So again, all you would be required to do is just go to your online console and go to console.shortcutsoftware.com. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we would click onto client information. And then in the top right, we would choose forms. Now, you'll only be able to choose forms in the top right if you're on our Elevate or Elevate Plus package. That allows you to create custom forms, such as skin test and patch test. If not, it will just be the standard client information form available to be sent out. Once you click onto forms, you'll be able to see and edit all of the forms that you've got. So you can see I've just got my Chris test form just here. And this is just a very quick introduction to a custom form. But there's loads of things you can do. You can add in pictures, you can add in images, you can add in drop-down menus, anything like that there. So you can see I've added in all of my medical questions. This is a custom form available to our Elevate and Elevate Plus package users. So you can see I've got a nice signature box there, everything like that. So this form, as well as the standard client information form that a customer fills out, If you're not on the Elevate or Elevate Plus package, you'll be able to use a standard client information form. That'll be emailed to the customer to fill out all the necessary data. So once you've created your form, we would then just need to go to our cloud appointment book. Our cloud appointment book can be found at pos.shortcutsoftware.com. So the first thing we would need to do is just simply activate one of our marketing campaigns. Over on the left-hand side, we would click onto Messages. Just going to log myself back in. Perfect. Apologies for that slight delay there, just waiting for everything to load up. So we would click onto our Messages on the left-hand side, and we would choose the top one just here, Appointment Acknowledgement. Now that will go, as you can see here, to message customers about their new or changed appointments. So again, we're thinking about sending out those custom forms or that client information form once the appointment has been made. You can adjust the send schedule just here from minutes to hours to days. So mine's going to go at 10 minutes after the appointment is created or changed. And then underneath, let's activate the email. Now, as you scroll down, you'll notice we have a new option here for forms. So you can add in any text, but we've got a default text of please ensure you complete the following form or forms prior to arriving to your appointment. And you can see there's a custom field there for links to forms, which can be found under this drop-down arrow just here. So if you do accidentally delete it out, you can add that in just there. Then we just simply click Activate. Now, once an appointment has been made, it will send them, after 10 minutes in this example, it will send them an email. And this is what the email will look like. So you can now see, thanks for your booking at Shortcuts V.8 test site. We are located at Manchester. And you can see it's got the forms just there to fill out. So how do we know what services require the forms? So we simply go ahead and just add in what services are going to be linked to this form. So we've now activated our email, and in the bottom left-hand corner, you've got your business settings just here. We're going to scroll down and you'll see we've got a new option that says customer forms. We are now going to configure and say which services or which service require these forms. So you can now see I've got my two forms here. Here's my custom form there, my Chris test form, and there's my standard consultation form. To the right hand side, you can see whether it's going to be automatically sent out. And we've got the client type. Is this going to be new clients, existing clients, or simply both or all clients? And the time frame, is this going to be sent out once, every single visit, or enter a value here? So perhaps it's going to be a patch test form and you want it to go out every X amount of weeks, or every X amount of months, or every X amount of days. I've said mine's going to go out every visit. Now we need to link it to the correct service. So all we do is we select services here, and we just simply use our drop-down arrow to select the services here. So that will then say that my Chris test form, my consultation form, my patch test form will go ahead and be sent out when we book in a half head of foils. And it will also be if I do my ladies services here. So all we're simply doing is saying which services require that form to be sent. And then we just simply click Save. Now, once we've activated our appointment acknowledgement email, when we make an appointment, so I've got an appointment just here. When an appointment is made, it will go yellow and the form has been sent out. When we tap onto that appointment through the touch tip, it will show you the forms that have been sent. To the right, you will see we've got a plus, a tick and a cross sign. This here is because I've already filled this form out. So I was emailed this form and I filled that form out. Underneath, you can see I've got my consultation form. I have not filled that form out. If we need to resend the form because they haven't filled it out, we can do so by clicking the three dots in the bottom right-hand corner and clicking Resend Forms. it will only resend the form that has not been filled out. So in this case, it will only be the consultation form. So how can we see the form that's been filled out? Well, if I click here, the one that has been filled out, the Chris test form, it will take me straight there. And you can see there's my signature. Now you can also as well, if you want to, you can go to your customers on the left-hand side. You can search for that customer. And you'll notice there is also a forms button towards the bottom right-hand corner as well. So you can click onto forms and it will show you that form that's been filled out there as well. And that is an absolutely fantastic feature just moving forward, just to ensure that our customers are receiving the correct forms ahead of time and ensuring we're not wasting time, filling them out on the iPad or getting them to, go through extensive consultation forms, especially if there's something that we needed to be made aware of, if it was a contraindication prior to, maybe we couldn't go ahead with that service. Well, it's better to know now before they actually arrive in the salon or your business. So that's our brand new pre-arrival forms there. So I went a little bit over this morning. I do apologize, ladies and gents, but thank you ever so much for joining me. As always, if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those across to me now. And just while we wait for those questions to come through, if you do have any further questions, or if you want me to run through any of the gift cards or anything like that with you this morning, that's not a problem. Please drop me an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk. Please do make sure you're following us on our socials and our Instagram.com/shortcutsuk, as well as our Facebook.com/shortcutsuk as well. Perfect. Lovely. Thank you. Awesome stuff. Okay, so I think that's it for all of the questions for this morning. Thank you ever so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure chatting with everyone. Hope everyone feels that a little bit more ready on the lead up to Christmas. If you do have any questions, of course, please feel free to drop me an email. As always, it's been great. My name is Chris. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. And of course, all that's left for me to say is have a fantastic Christmas. I'll speak to you and see you all again soon. Thank you ever so much, guys. Have a lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye for now.